Be honest with yourself for a second. How many times have you seen a woman get completely obsessed with a man who barely says anything, and you've thought, what does he have that I don't? It's not his words, it's not his looks, it's not some magic line he read on the internet, it's the silent way he moves, looks, and reacts. It's those small, almost invisible gestures that switch something on in her nervous system, in her emotions, in her instincts. Tonight, I'm going to show you 7 of those silent gestures that drive women crazy. And if you stay with me until the end and actually apply them, you will never again feel like you have to beg for attention, over-explain yourself, or chase anyone to be noticed. Most men try to attract women with noise. Too many messages, too many words, too much explaining, trying too hard to impress. But attraction, especially feminine attraction, is built in silence. Research in nonverbal communication shows that a huge percentage of emotional meaning is transmitted through body language, eye contact, posture, and micro-expressions. A woman's nervous system reacts to what she feels from you long before she analyzes what you say. That's why a calm, grounded, silent man can be 10 times more attractive than a loud, desperate one. The difference is not luck, it's structure. There are patterns, gestures, ways of holding yourself that consistently communicate confidence, masculine presence, and emotional self-control. And the moment you understand them, you stop playing the game of convincing women and you start letting your presence work for you. Before we dive into the 7 gestures, I want you to understand one thing very clearly. This is not about manipulation, acting fake, or trying to trick a woman. That always backfires. This is about aligning your external language, your body, your eyes, your movements, with an internal reality of self-respect, calm, and strength. When you combine inner stability with deliberate silent gestures, you send a powerful message. I am a man who doesn't need to scream to be seen. I am a man who chooses, not a man who begs. That's the vibe that drives women crazy in the best way. And as we go through each gesture, I want you to imagine yourself applying it in real situations. When you walk into a room, when you talk to a woman you like, when you're on a date, when you're with your partner. This is practical, usable, and designed for the real world. Let's start with the first silent gesture that has a brutal impact on how a woman perceives you: your eye contact. You've heard maintain eye contact 1,000 times, but most men still get it wrong. They either stare aggressively, like they're trying to dominate, or they avoid eye contact, like they're afraid of being seen. Both extremes kill attraction. What drives women crazy is controlled, relaxed, and playful eye contact. Here's how you do it. When she's talking, you look at her eyes with a soft, steady gaze. You're present. You're not scanning the room. You're not glued to your phone. You're not watching every detail around you like a nervous teenager. You're there with her. Then, every few seconds, you gently break eye contact for a moment, maybe looking slightly down or to the side, and you come back with a small, subtle half smile. That look, slight break, return pattern, calm and unhurried, sends a very clear message at a subconscious level. I see you. I'm not intimidated by you. And I'm comfortable with the tension between us. When you do this right, you create a micro-tension that a woman can feel in her body. You're not staring like a creep, you're holding space. Think of your eye contact as an embrace, not a weapon. You're giving attention, not taking it. Studies in social psychology show that mutual gaze, especially when combined with slight smiling and relaxed facial expression, increases feelings of closeness and attraction. So when you talk to her, don't look away every time she looks at you. That's what insecure men do. Don't lock on like you're interrogating her. That's what controlling men do. You want that balanced, slow, confident rhythm. Look, hold, small break, return. Add a slow blink here and there, and you'll be surprised how often she starts looking away first, playing with her hair, or smiling without knowing why. That's her nervous system reacting to your presence. Now think about this. Eye contact is not just about your eyes, it's about your whole face. A lot of men have a tense jaw, tight lips, or a frozen expression. That makes your eye contact feel heavy or weird. Relax your face. Let your jaw drop slightly, your tongue rest softly, your forehead unknot. Your eyes become warmer, more magnetic, and less threatening. When she talks and you slightly squint in curiosity, nod slowly, or raise one eyebrow just a bit, you're telling her, without words, I'm actually listening. I'm actually engaged. Most men nod mechanically or overreact. You want minimal, deliberate, intentional facial expressions. That minimalism, that subtlety, drives women crazy because it feels masculine, grounded, and emotionally controlled. The second silent gesture is your pace, the way you move, how fast you react, how quickly you shift your body or your attention. Desperate men move fast, they answer instantly, they change topic constantly, they tap their fingers, they play with their clothes, they check their phone every few seconds. Calm, attractive men move slowly and deliberately, as if nothing and no one is in a rush. That slow pace is a silent power signal. It shows that your nervous system is not in panic mode. It shows that you're not trying to get validation. You're centered. So, when you're with a woman, start paying attention to the speed of your gestures. When you reach for your drink, do it slowly. When you turn to face her, do it fully, not half-turned like you're ready to escape. When you respond to something she says, allow a micro pause before you speak. That millisecond of silence before your words makes everything you say feel more intentional and confident. In studies about dominance and leadership perception, people who move less but more deliberately are often perceived as more powerful. This doesn't mean you must be robotic or stiff. That's not attractive either. It means you eliminate nervous, unnecessary movements. No constant adjusting your watch. No scratching your neck every 5 seconds. No bouncing your leg like a teenager on an energy drink. Instead, you sit or stand with a strong base, your feet firmly grounded, your torso facing the person you're with. When you laugh, you let your body relax into it instead of exploding with exaggerated gestures. When you're surprised, you react, but you don't overreact. This slow, controlled pace tells her, I am not overwhelmed by you or by this moment. I am comfortable in my own skin. And that comfort is addictive for a feminine nervous system that craves stability and safety. The third silent gesture that drives women crazy is your posture, especially your resting posture. How you look when you are not actively trying to impress anyone. Many men straighten their back only when they remember they should look confident, and then collapse as soon as they relax. Women notice that inconsistency. What speaks louder is the posture you have when you're simply existing in a room. Here's the posture that transmits confident masculinity. Your shoulders are slightly back and down, not puffed up like you're trying to look bigger, but open and relaxed. Your chest is available, not caved in. Your neck is elongated, as if a string is gently pulling the top of your head upward. Your feet are shoulder width apart when you stand, firmly connected to the ground. Your hands are visible and relaxed, not always in your pockets, not clamped in front of your body as if you're protecting yourself. This posture does something very specific in a woman's subconscious. It signals that you are not hiding. You're not defending your vital organs. You're not closing your body like a shield. You're open because you're not afraid. Over time, body language researchers have linked expansive postures with perceptions of confidence, dominance, and leadership. You don't need to exaggerate it. In fact, exaggeration looks ridiculous. Think of a relaxed lion, not a barking little dog. You don't need to stand like a soldier. You're simply aligned. When you walk, your shoulders don't collapse forward into your phone. Your eyes are not glued to the ground. Your steps are grounded, medium length, consistent. When you sit, you don't shrink into the smallest possible space to avoid taking up room. You occupy your space calmly and respectfully. This "I belong here" posture drives women crazy because it radiates self-value. It says, I'm not waiting for permission to exist. There is another layer to posture that most men ignore: how you angle your body towards or away from her. If every time she talks you lean in too much, twist your entire torso toward her, or hover over her personal space, you communicate neediness and lack of boundaries. If you never turn your body toward her, you communicate disinterest or insecurity. The balanced, attractive posture is this: your torso is slightly angled toward her, enough to show interest, but you keep your own axis. You're not collapsing into her space. Often, one of the most attractive gestures is when you slightly lean back while keeping eye contact, as if you're saying, I'm present, but I'm not lost in you. I'm still me. That blend of attention and self-possession is rare, and that's why it has such a strong impact. The fourth silent gesture is the subtle, controlled touch. And here I want to be very clear and respectful. Touch must always be appropriate, consensual, and situationally natural. We are not talking about forcing physical contact. We're talking about those very small, context-appropriate touches that signal warmth, comfort, and masculine presence. When done right, they drive women crazy because they communicate, without words, I'm not afraid of closeness, and I'm comfortable in my own body. For example, if you're walking side by side and you need to guide her around an obstacle, a light touch on her upper back or elbow, brief and firm, feels protective and masculine. If you're laughing at something together, a very quick, gentle touch on her forearm while you're both already emotionally open can deepen that moment. The key is brief, grounded, and not needy. You touch and then you release. You don't cling. Research on touch in social interactions shows that light, appropriate touch can increase feelings of connection and positive impression when the context is respectful. But here is where most men ruin it. They either avoid any touch whatsoever, acting like any physical contact is forbidden, or they use touch as a desperate strategy, constantly trying to create accidental brushes that feel fake and creepy. You must think of touch as a punctuation, not as the whole sentence. It's something that highlights an emotion that is already there, not something you use to create the emotion from zero. Also, your internal state matters. If you're anxious, your touch will feel shaky or intrusive. If you're grounded, breathing slowly, present, your touch will feel calm, protective, and reassuring. That calm, firm, brief physical contact is what makes a woman's body notice you on a deeper level. Another important part of the touch gesture is what you do immediately after. An attractive man doesn't look at his hand like, "Did I do it right?" He doesn't stare at her to see her reaction. He stays relaxed. He continues the conversation. He keeps his eyes on her face, not on the body part he touched. This tells her that physical closeness is normal to you, not a huge, over-sexualized event. It's just how a confident adult man interacts. When she feels that your intent is connection and presence, not desperation or conquest, touch becomes a powerful, silent amplifier of attraction. The fifth silent gesture that drives women crazy is how you occupy space when you're in her environment, your frame. Frame is a concept often mentioned in seduction and psychology. It's the invisible bubble of reality you create around you, the energy that defines how people feel in your presence. Physically, your frame is expressed in how you stand in a room, how you position yourself relative to others, and how you react to external chaos. An attractive masculine frame is calm and slightly protective. For example, if you're walking together in a crowded place, you naturally position yourself on the side closer to the street or the crowd without making a big deal of it. If there's a group approaching, you slightly shift your body to create a micro barrier between her and any potential contact. You don't announce it, you simply do it. That small, silent gesture hits something very deep, the instinct that says, "This man can hold space for me." Another aspect of spatial frame is how you stand when you're talking to her in a group. Many men either hide behind their friends or place themselves in awkward positions. A confident man chooses a spot where he can see the room, but his body is still open to her. He's not desperately glued to her side. He gives her room to move, to interact, to breathe, while still being a stable reference point. If someone else enters the conversation, he doesn't shrink or step back like he's afraid of competition. He stays relaxed, feet grounded, shoulders open. His body says, "I'm not competing, I'm just here, and I'm solid." That solidity, especially in social situations, is incredibly attractive. Women are sensitive to how men behave in groups because it reveals their true confidence level. There's also the gesture of offering space. When you enter a room and there are limited seats, you naturally offer her the more comfortable one without over-explaining, then settle yourself nearby in a relaxed way. You don't panic if you have to stand. You don't complain. You don't make it a drama. These small, silent actions say much more about your character than any speech about chivalry. And because you're not bragging, they feel authentic. When a woman notices that pattern, you instinctively choosing positions that make her feel safe while you stay comfortable and grounded, she can't help but feel drawn to you. It taps into a deep, ancient part of attraction where masculine presence equals safety. The sixth silent gesture is your emotional control in your micro-reactions. Women are extremely perceptive to micro-changes in your face and body when something unexpected happens: a delay, a bad joke, a challenge, a test, or a rejection. Most men overreact. They get defensive, offended, or visibly insecure. An attractive man has developed the ability to let things land, breathe, and respond with calm. For example, if she teases you or tests you with a playful comment, instead of instantly justifying yourself or reacting nervously, you allow a small pause, let a slow smile appear, maybe tilt your head a bit, and respond lightly. That micro-pause followed by a calm smile is a silent gesture that says, "I'm not shaken by this. I'm comfortable in myself." Emotional self-control is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy and of many modern methods of seduction. It doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It means you're not a slave to every impulse. So, when plans change, you don't sigh dramatically, roll your eyes, or complain. When someone interrupts you, you don't tense your jaw like you're about to fight. When things don't go exactly how you wanted, you exhale softly, adjust, and keep your center. This is all body language. A woman will feel it instantly. In a world where many men are reactive and fragile, the man whose gestures say, "I can handle discomfort without losing myself," becomes magnetically attractive. This extends to how you handle your own attraction. If you're clearly interested in her, but your micro-reactions show panic every time there is silence, she'll feel your anxiety, not your desire. If, instead, you're able to sit in a moment of silence, maintain relaxed eye contact, maybe let your eyes drop to her lips for a second, and then return to her eyes with a subtle smile, you're communicating desire without neediness. That's a silent gesture that women feel very intensely. You're not begging, you're not hiding. You're simply present with your own attraction, comfortable with it, not ashamed of it. Now we arrive at the seventh silent gesture, and this one is often the most powerful: the way you leave. Most men focus only on how to enter a conversation, how to start a chat, how to make the first move. They completely ignore the impact of their exit. But often, what drives a woman crazy is not what you do when you're there. It's the aftertaste you leave when you walk away. The attractive, masculine way to leave is calm, decisive, and slightly mysterious. You don't disappear awkwardly. You don't drag the interaction endlessly until it becomes boring, and you don't over-explain why you have to go. When it's time to leave, you wait for a natural pause in the interaction. You hold eye contact. You let a genuine, grounded smile appear, and you say something simple and direct like, "I have to head out, but it was good talking to you." Then you hold her gaze half a second longer than usual, give a small nod, and turn away with relaxed posture, slow steps, no rush. That sequence: eye contact, brief affirmation, small pause, then a calm walk away, hits very deep because it shows that your world doesn't revolve around her. You are engaged, you enjoy the interaction, but you have a life, a direction, a purpose beyond that moment. Research on memory and psychology shows that endings have a disproportionate impact on how an experience is remembered. This is called the peak end rule. People remember the most intense point and the ending of an experience more than the rest. So, if you leave with a strong, calm, confident gesture, she will replay that moment. She will wonder about you. She will think, "Who is this man who doesn't overstay, who doesn't cling, who leaves with such self-possession?" That wondering is what makes her check your social media, bring you up in conversation, or feel a pull to see you again. There is another version of this powerful exit gesture. When you're already in her life, maybe you're dating or in a relationship, and there is tension or disagreement. Instead of yelling, chasing, or flooding her with messages, you communicate what you feel clearly and calmly. And if the conversation is going nowhere, you say, "Let's talk about this later when we're both calmer." And you physically remove yourself from the space with the same energy, grounded, respectful, not slamming doors, not creating drama. Your shoulders stay open, your steps stay slow, your face stays composed. That emotional walkaway is a huge silent gesture of self-respect. It tells her, "I'm not going to lose myself in chaos. I value us, but I won't participate in destruction." That can be deeply attractive because it positions you as a man with boundaries, not a boy begging to be liked at any cost. Now, let's connect all these gestures into one integrated presence, because that's where the real power is. None of these gestures, on their own, is a magic trick. The real transformation happens when your eye contact, your pace, your posture, your touch, your spatial frame, your emotional micro-reactions, and your exits all align. Imagine yourself entering a room. Your posture is relaxed and open. Your steps are grounded. Your eyes are observant but not anxious. You're not scanning for approval. You're simply noticing. You connect eyes with a woman. You hold that gaze for a second longer than normal. You let a small, confident smile appear, and you look away calmly. Later, you find yourself talking with her. You listen with real presence, your face relaxed, your body slightly angled toward her but not collapsed into her space. You move slowly. You take micro-pauses before you speak. You eliminate nervous fidgeting. As the interaction goes on, you allow small, appropriate touches that amplify the connection that's already there. You position yourself instinctively in ways that make her feel safe in the space. When something unexpected happens, like a teasing comment or an interruption, your body doesn't explode with defensive reactions. You stay calm, you breathe, you respond lightly. And when it's time to leave, you do it with that same calm clarity, leaving behind a memory of presence, not of desperation. That is the man women talk about later. Not because he performed a show, but because his silent language told a consistent story. I know who I am. I'm not here to beg. I'm here to share my presence. And if you connect with it, great. If not, I remain whole. To really embody these silent gestures, you have to work on two levels at the same time: outer mechanics and inner state. The outer mechanics are everything we just described in detail: where you place your eyes, how fast you move, how you stand, how you touch, how you exit. You can practice those consciously. You can stand in front of a mirror and observe your posture. You can slow down your movements intentionally. You can rehearse maintaining eye contact while keeping your face relaxed. It may feel strange at first, but repetition creates familiarity. Over time, these gestures begin to feel natural. But if you only focus on the outer mechanics and ignore your inner state, women will sense the disconnect. They'll feel that you're doing something rather than being someone. That's where the inner work comes in: your self-respect, your purpose, your emotional discipline. A stoic mindset is extremely powerful here. Instead of depending on a woman's reaction to feel valuable, you ground your sense of worth in who you are and what you build in your life. You focus on the things you can control: your body, your mind, your goals, your integrity. When you live like that, your silent gestures become honest reflections, not fake performances. Your slow movement comes from a calm nervous system. Your steady eye contact comes from a lack of shame about who you are. Your posture comes from the internal sentence, "I deserve to take space in this world." Your ability to walk away comes from the understanding that your peace is more valuable than any single interaction. So, as you finish this video, I don't want you to just think, okay, 7 gestures, cool information. I want you to choose at least one gesture that you will start practicing consciously today. Maybe you start with eye contact. Next time you talk to someone, you hold that gaze a little longer, you soften your face, you let a half smile appear, and you embrace that micro-tension instead of escaping it. Maybe you start with your pace. You slow your movements, you cut down on nervous fidgeting. You use silence instead of rushing to fill every gap with words. Maybe you start with your exit. You stop dragging conversations until they're dead, and you learn to leave at a high point, calmly, without over-explaining. Pick one, start there, and let your body learn. Because here is the truth most men never hear. You don't become unforgettable by talking more. You become unforgettable by being more. These 7 silent gestures are simply the external language of a man who has decided to own his presence, respect himself, and move through the world with calm strength. And when a woman feels that, not just sees it, but feels it in her body and her emotions, that's when she finds herself thinking about you later, replaying small moments, wondering what it would be like to be in your orbit. That's when you stop chasing and start attracting. So, if you're ready to step into that version of yourself, start today. Refine your silent language. Walk into the room differently. Look at her differently. Move differently. And let your presence, not your noise, be what drives her crazy.